Okay, so I have a question for you to start us off today.
Go for it.
It's a scenario I think everyone has been in. You're trying to get somewhere new, maybe a restaurant, a friend's house. You're on the phone with them,
Yep, I'm with you.
and they're giving you directions. They sound confident, they sound so clear. Go past the big red building, turn left at the statue. It's right there.
Hmm.
And yet, 10 minutes later, you are 3 towns over, completely lost, wondering why on earth they lied to you.
Oh, the classic direction-giving breakdown. It's where friendships go to die.
Exactly.
And usually, what's the first thing we do? We blame our attention span. We say, you just weren't listening, or maybe I wasn't clear enough. We treat it like a failure of focus.
Right. We think it's about effort. But what if it's not? What if it's not? I've been reading through this fascinating paper you sent over for today's deep dive, and it suggests the problem isn't psychological at all. It's geometrical.
That is the perfect way to frame it. The study is called A Network Model of Lexical Alignment in Direction Dialogue.
It's a mouthful.
It is, yeah. It's by a team, Alexander Mueller, Andy Lucking, and Peter Menke. And what they did, effectively, was stop looking at communication as just people talking and started treating it like a complex mathematical network.
And the claim they make is, it's pretty bold. They say by analyzing the shape of a conversation, literally mapping out the geometry of the words, they can predict whether two people understood each other.
And they do it with 96% accuracy.
96%.
That is the number that just stops you in your tracks. In behavioral science, getting a correlation of 0.6 or 0.7 is usually cause for celebration.
Yeah.
Hitting 0.96 it's unheard of. It's basically mind reading through math.
So that's our mission today. We are going to unpack how they did this. We're going to look at this hidden geometry of conversation, find out why nouns are apparently the most important thing in the universe.
And why being polite might actually be useless when you're trying to get something done.
Let's do it.
Okay, so to get the geometry, we have to start with the theory. The whole model is built on something called the Interactive Alignment Model, or IAM.
Right, the IAM.
And to understand IAM, you have to look at what it replaced. The old view of communication was the transmission model.
Which is like a file transfer.
Exactly. I have a thought in my brain, a little data packet. I encode it into words, I send it through the air, your ears pick it up, you decode it, and now you have the data packet. It's very linear.
Like sending a fax.
Exactly like sending a fax. But the interactive alignment model says, no, that's not how humans work at all.
So what does it say?
IAM suggests that dialogue is really a process of synchronization. As we talk, our mental states aren't just exchanging data, they're actually becoming similar. We align everything. Our phonetic processing, our word choices, our sentence structures.
So we literally start thinking like the person we're talking to.
In a very real sense, yes. It sounds a bit like a sci-fi mind meld.
It does.
But it's driven by simple biology. The engine for all this alignment is a process called priming.
Okay, let's unpack priming. I know the basic psych definition. If I see a picture of the doctor, I'll recognize the word nurse faster than if I saw a picture of, a bread truck.
Precisely. It's all about activation. Your brain is this massive interconnected network of concepts. When you hear a word, a specific node in that network lights up.
Okay.
But it doesn't just light up that one node. It sends out a little ripple of energy to everything connected.
So it's like a splash radius?
That's a great way to put it. The paper uses a really specific example to show how this works. If I say the word can, like a tin can, your brain obviously activates the concept of can. But because of the sound, it also lights up pan.
Phonetic priming, because they rhyme.
Exactly. But then, because pan is activated, and you use a pan to cook on a stove, the concept of stove also lights up a little bit. That's semantic priming. So just by saying can, I have subtly preloaded your brain with a whole kitchen scenario.
And this is where the alignment happens, right? Because if I'm about to speak and my brain is already lit up with pan and stove, I'm more likely to use those words. It's the path of least resistance.
Exactly. It's cognitively cheaper to use the words I just activated for you. And when you use those words back to me, you reinforce my activation. We get locked into this feedback loop. That's alignment.
The source text had a perfect, really clear example of this, the lamp exchange.
Yes, this is the textbook case.
Yes.
So you have speaker A and speaker B. Speaker A is giving directions and mentions streetlights.
Okay. Turn left at the streetlights. Simple enough.
But speaker B, in their mind's eye, they see them as street lamps. So when they respond, they say, okay, go past the street lamps.
Ah, so they've introduced a new term, they've corrected it subtly.
Right. And now, in the next turn, speaker A has a choice. Do they stick with lights or do they align? In the example, speaker A switches. They say yes, past the lamps.
And that's the handshake, that's the click.
That is the moment the bridge is built between them. They've aligned on the noun lamp. They have just created a shared entry in their own little dialogue lexicon.
And if you do that over and over again for every landmark, every turn, you're basically building a shared reality.
You are. And this gets us to the problem the researchers wanted to solve. In the past, scientists would just, count repetitions.
Like, oh, they both said lamp 5 times, so they must be on the same page.
Exactly. But frequency is so misleading. I could be shouting, "That is not a lamp," and you could be shouting, "It is a lamp." We're saying the word a lot, but we are not aligned. We're arguing.
It's like the difference between a pile of bricks and a brick wall. Same number of bricks, but only one is a structure.
That is the perfect segue to the tool they built. They needed to see the structure, the wall, not just the pile of bricks. So they created the Titan model.
Which stands for a 2-level, time-aligned network.
Correct. And this is where the geometry really comes in. I want you to visualize this with me. Imagine 2 sheets of glass, one floating above the other.
Okay, top sheet, bottom sheet. Got it.
The top sheet is speaker A's brain. The bottom is speaker B's. Every time speaker A says a word, we put a dot on their sheet. If they use related words like walk and street, we draw a line connecting those dots on their own sheet.
So that's their internal logic, me making sense to myself.
Right. Those are the interpersonal links. But here's where the magic happens. If speaker A says lamp and then speaker B says lamp, we draw a vertical line connecting the top sheet to the bottom one.
The alignment channel.
Yes, those are the
Got it.
interpersonal links. So as the conversation goes on, turn by turn, you're weaving this incredible web between the 2 sheets of glass.
So, okay, if we're totally out of sync, if I'm talking about a city and you think I'm talking about a forest, what does that graph look like?
It looks like 2 separate spider webs floating in space, with almost no vertical threads connecting them. That's what the researchers call the lower bound. Total conversational isolation.
In the upper bound.
That's the Borg. Total assimilation. The top web and the bottom web are identical. Stitched together with so many vertical lines, they look like a solid block.
Okay, so now we have the tool. We can literally draw the shape of a conversation. But they still had to prove that a certain shape actually led to success.
Right. Does a pretty network actually mean you find the fountain? To test this, they used something called the Saga corpus.
The Bielefeld speech and gesture alignment corpus, which sounds incredibly dry. But the actual experiment sounds like a stress dream I've had.
It really does. It's a virtual town simulation. They took 25 pairs of people. One person, the direction giver, takes a simulated bus ride through this virtual town. They see all the landmarks, the streets, the parks.
And then they have to turn around and describe that route to the other person.
The mission is simple. Get from the sculpture to the fountain.
And the second person, the follower, has never seen this town before.
Nope. They are flying completely blind. They have to navigate this virtual world based only on the words coming out of the giver's mouth.
So, how did they do?
Not great. The researchers split the results into effective and ineffective dialogues. Out of 25 pairs, only 8 were effective.
Only 8, so 17 failed.
17 were ineffective, yes.
Wow. So almost 70% of the pairs failed. That makes me feel a lot better about my own life, honestly.
Direction giving is hard. It's very cognitively heavy. But there's a really important nuance here. When the researchers said effective, they didn't mean perfect.
What's the difference?
Well, they counted partially correct directions as effective, as long as the person actually found the fountain. The paper gives this great example. One participant was describing a park, and they pointed out some trees. They called them leaf trees.
Leaf trees. That's a weird way to put it.
It is. And technically in the simulation, they were conifers, pine trees.
So they were factually wrong. They pointed at a pine tree and called it a leaf tree.
Taxonomically, yes, it was an error. But, and this is the key, the listener understood what they meant in context. They saw the trees, they accepted the label leaf trees, and they found the path. So the researchers marked that as a success.
I love that. It's so pragmatic. It's not about being a botanist. It's about not getting lost.
Precisely. Perfection isn't the goal. Alignment is. But the ineffective ones, the failures, those were really revealing. The people who failed often had what they called a fragmentary situation model.
A fragmentary situation model.
Basically, the direction giver didn't really know where they were going either. Their own mental map had huge holes in it. And you can't align your map with someone else's if yours is half empty.
It's like trying to teach a class on a book you only read the back cover of.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have the 25 pairs, we know who got lost, who found the fountain, and we have these Titan network graphs for every single conversation. Now, the big reveal. They fed these graphs to a computer and just asked it to guess who failed.
And remember, the computer doesn't know the people. It doesn't hear frustration or confidence or tone of voice. It only sees the geometry, the dots and the lines.
And it hit 96% accuracy.
96%. It's staggering. The computer could look at the topology, the pure shape of the web, and say, this pair is hopeless or this pair is solid, and it was almost never wrong.
But, and this is the twist that made me stop and reread the paper, this 96% accuracy didn't come from looking at all the words.
No.
To get that super high accuracy, they had to filter the data down to just one single part of speech.
The nouns.
Just the nouns.
Just the nouns. When they fed the model, the network of only the nouns, sculpture, fountain, street, lamp, it was nearly perfect at predicting who would succeed and who would fail.
That is so counterintuitive to me, because when I think of directions, I think of movement. I think of actions. Turn left, go straight, walk past.
Verbs.
Verbs. Shouldn't the verbs be the most important part?
You would absolutely think so. In fact, the researchers admit they expected verbs to play a much bigger role. But when they added verbs to the model, the accuracy dropped.
It got worse.
It dropped to 92%. And when they added adjectives, big building, red house, it dropped even further. The more non-noun information they gave the computer, the fuzzier the picture got for it.
But why? What makes nouns the absolute heroes of communication?
It comes down to this idea of a reference universe. When you're navigating a space, you are moving through a field of objects. The nouns are the anchors.
The anchors.
Think about it this way. If I say to you, turn left at the big oak tree, but we haven't agreed on which tree is the oak tree, maybe you think it's a bush, or you don't see one at all.
Then the verb turn is totally useless.
It's useless. The action has no place to attach to, it's just floating in a void. The verb is a vector. It tells you how to move between things. But if the things aren't established, the vector is just noise.
The coordinate system isn't aligned.
Exactly. The paper puts it beautifully. Correct noun dialogues are a precondition for correct verb dialogues.
You have to agree on the what before you can possibly agree on the how.
Yes. It's like building a bridge. The verbs are the planks you walk on, but the nouns are the pilings, the big concrete columns driven into the riverbed. If you don't have the pilings, the planks just float away.
That's a perfect analogy. And this explains why the ineffective dialogues failed. It wasn't that they were bad at saying turn left. It's that they never built the shared list of anchors.
They were just floating in a sea of unaligned objects.
So if I want to be better at explaining things, the lesson isn't use better action words. It's secure the nouns first.
Absolutely. Front load the nouns. Do you see the statue? Yes. Do you see the fountain? Yes. Once you have those handshakes, then you can move between them.
Okay, there was one other variable they looked at that really surprised me. They analyzed metacommunication.
Yes, the talk about the talk.
Right. Words like, did you get that? Uh-huh. Let me think. Wait, what? The stuff we use to manage the flow. I would assume that checking in all the time would be a sign of a good communicator.
I would have assumed the same. It feels like active listening, doesn't it?
It does. But the study found it had almost no effect on the prediction model.
It didn't matter at all. Including or excluding those meta words didn't really change the accuracy. It wasn't a strong predictor of success or failure.
That seems wild. Why wouldn't checking in help?
It helps socially, I think. But think about the information content. Those words are just binary signals. They just say channel open or channel closed. They don't add anything to the map itself.
It's like checking for a dial tone on a phone.
Exactly. If I ask, did you understand? Brian, you say yes. We haven't actually clarified a single thing about the route. We've just confirmed we're still on the line. It creates an illusion of understanding.
Right. I can say yes because I think I understood, even if I'm completely and totally wrong.
Precisely. The metacommunication is just grease for the gears. It keeps the machine running, but it doesn't build the product. The nouns do all the heavy lifting.
So relying on did you hear me is basically a trap. You need to verify the anchors, not just the connection.
That's the big takeaway.
I also just want to give a quick nod to the tech here because I don't want people thinking some poor grad student was counting nouns with a highlighter for 3 years.
No, no, this is all rigorous data science. They used an automated system, an e-tagger, trained on the German Negro corpus. They used machine learning to sort all these words into lemmata, or their base forms.
So walking and walked both get treated as the same core concept of walk.
Right, which is crucial because it means you can scale this kind of analysis. You could run this on massive amounts of data in real time.
Which makes me wonder, could we have an AI on our Zoom calls listening to project meetings?
It's entirely possible. Imagine a little dashboard in the corner of your screen that analyzes the geometry of the conversation as it's happening.
And it flashes a warning, noun alignment is low.
Exactly. Yeah. Warning, you keep saying the deliverable, but Bob's graph links that to a PDF and Alice's graph links it to a website.
That would save so many hours of corporate misery. If the network shape starts to look like that lower bound, that disconnected floating web bowl, the system could flag it before the project goes completely off the rails.
It would force us to stop and define our terms, something we are all notoriously bad at doing.
So let's bring this all home. We've covered the interactive alignment model, priming, the Titan model, and this incredible dominance of nouns. What is the practical application for you listening to this right now?
For me, it completely redefines what clarity even means. We think being clear means being loud or speaking slowly or being polite. This study suggests clarity is geometrical. It is lexical alignment of nouns.
It's about building the dictionary before you try to route the story.
Yes. If you're explaining any complex idea, a route to a fountain, a quarterly strategy, how to assemble a bookshelf, start by defining the objects. This is the goal, this is the product, this is the screw. Get the handshake on those terms first.
Don't assume you share the same reality. Build it together first.
Exactly. Don't start moving things around with verbs until you are 100% sure the other person sees the same things that you do. If you skip that step, you aren't communicating. You're just broadcasting.
And don't rely on "did you get that" to save you.
Nope. That's just checking the dial tone.
It is so fascinating to think that our words leave this invisible trail. If we could actually see the air between us when we talk, we'd see these complex geometric webs being spun in real time.
The best conversations, the ones where we really connect, where we feel that click, those are the ones where the webs are dense, symmetrical, and just perfectly aligned.
It brings a whole new meaning to being on the same wavelength.
It's more like being on the same network graph.
A little less poetic, maybe, but a lot more accurate. So here's a thought to leave you with today. We've talked about this for giving directions, a very practical, tangible task. But what happens if we apply this Titan model to our personal lives?
That is a provocative question.
I mean, if we could visualize the network shape of the conversations you have with your partner or your parents or your best friend, what would it look like?
Would it be that upper bound, that synchronized, dense structure?
Or would it look more like a tangled mess? Two people just using different words for different feelings, passing each other in the dark.
It makes you wonder, could we fix our relationships just by fixing our nouns?
Maybe we are all just one definition away from actually understanding each other, something to chew on the next time you ask for directions. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.